Hey there, Mama. Welcome to the Marvelous Moms Club podcast. I'm Kirsten Tyrell, and I am the host of this awesome podcast where I get to sit down with moms from all over the world from various walks of life to share their stories of inspiration, knowledge, and all kinds of good stuff to remind you what a truly marvelous mom you are. So sit back and relax, or plug your headphones in and keep doing whatever you're doing, and enjoy today's episode of the Marvelous Moms Club. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be sitting in front of my microphone again. It has been way too long since we've had a new episode up here on Marvelous Moms Club. I had big plans to front load so many episodes so you guys would have something to listen to all the way up until Christmas. And then guess what? It was December for me too. And I decided it was time for a break. And so I pulled back a little bit and really enjoyed the holidays. Spent time with my family without anything looming over my head that I needed to do, and it was a really nice break. But I don't know about you guys, when you get a break, it's really hard to get back in the swing of things. So I've been dragging my feet, giving myself as much time as I can, making as many excuses as I can, and now I'm back in the saddle, and I'm so excited to be here. And I'm really, really looking forward to all the stuff that's going to happen this year. So the subject for today's episode, as it's just me sitting here chatting with you guys, is Word of the Year. So my husband and one of my best friends asked me a couple weeks ago, what's your word? What's your word going to be this year? I think it was mostly my friend. She was asking, what's your word? And I was like, I forgot that's something you do. You totally picked a word last year and you probably picked your word this year. So they both told me their words and I was like, my word, if anything, would be like survive. And then I was like, wait a minute. When I started this podcast a year ago, I was all about teaching people how to thrive and not just try and survive. But somehow I still got thrust into this year of just being in survival mode. And so I was really kind of pessimistic about picking a word because I felt like no one word was going to sum up what I wanted to do this year. No one word could describe how I was feeling, could really like push me to the next level. There was no good word that I could think of. And so I just kind of pulled away from even picking one. And the very next day, I was sitting at my computer, and it was just like, you have those aha moments where it's like somebody just came up and like cracked you over the head with like a light bulb and a really brilliant idea. I don't know. Is that a thing that happens? I don't know. But it was pretty much what happened to me. I was sitting next to my husband in the office, and I said, what about the word push? And he was like, ooh, I like it. And I was like, yeah, because as moms, we push. Like, most of us like push our babies out of our bodies. And then the mothers who have to push to like adopt, like that's an even harder push. Like they have to continuously push and push and push to become mothers. So one way or another, we are pushing our guts out to become mothers. Like it's everything inside of us that we can possibly muster to do this because it's something that we have so much conviction about. And then as our kids get older, we're still pushing. Like we're pushing them in their strollers. We're pushing them to be successful. We're teaching them. We're pushing ourselves. There are so many instances in our life in which we push. And it was just like, you know how fast your brain moves, so much faster than the way you can type or the way you can even speak it. Just all these things were just like flowing through my head like, oh my gosh, all these different concepts, all these ways to spin the word push. And that's how I feel about myself. Like this is a year when I'm really going to have to push. And last year I pushed so hard. I pushed outside of my comfort zone. I pushed our business to really great places. And there was so much resistance. And that's the cool thing about pushing is when you're pushing, something's always going to be pushing back. It's just science. And I'm in the process of writing an entire book about this concept and about the word push and about, just the way that I've pushed the last year and how much I intend to do this year and how I'm setting goals and how I plan to accomplish them and areas in my life which I'm going to push a little harder than others. And I'm really excited to share with you guys because it's all just flowing out of me. It's been so fun to begin this whole book journey, and it's nothing I'm putting a ton of like weight on that I think is going to be like this giant, huge New York Times bestseller. Just something I feel that I need to share and I need to express because if I had had something or somebody telling me the exact things, I might have given myself a little bit more grace. And I also might have pushed a little harder last year because you know how we all say like, I'm doing the best I can. And then deep down, we know that there's still more of us that we could give. There's still a little bit harder that we could push. That's how I feel like I've spent the last few months, the end of the year when it's like, I'm pushing as hard as I can. And then I'm like, but I could have done a little bit more. I could have given up a little bit more TV time or cell phone time to get my stuff done. So my word for 2017 is push. And I encourage all of you guys, as soon as you're done listening, to pick a word for yourself. Pick a word that encompasses your goals, your aspirations. Just pick a word that you feel like you're going to click with and is going to make sense. Whether you're running a business or not, if it's for your family, if it's like your family word, if it's like thrive or adventure or peace, something like that. If there's just been a lot of turmoil in your life over the past year and you want to have a life of calm or just a life of contentment, choose something like that. Choose a word like that. If you are really looking to like amp it up and step up to the next level, pick something similar to push or choose push. It can be your word too. It can be our word as a community. You're probably going to get sick of that word. It's like when you say elephant 300 times and you're like, why is that even a word? Who even decided to call it an elephant? It's kind of like that. So that is the word. That is the movement. We are really going to push Marvelous Moms Club to the next level. It's going to be so amazing. There's so many lives that have changed as a result of the messages that have been shared here on this podcast in 2016. And as I sit here, it's such a stark contrast to a year ago, a little over a year ago, when I sat down at my computer by myself to record the first episodes. And I just kind of went cross-eyed and stared at the microphone. And I was like, what am I doing? Why am I sitting here thinking I can talk? And now I feel like I'm just talking to all my best friends. It's so much fun. And I know you guys are out there listening, and I know that you're incredible, and I know you're uplifted by all of the guests who come on here. And there's so many of them. There are so many episodes that I have just been holding on to, not because I don't want to share them, but because I've been trying to find a really good flow when it comes to my personal life and business and this podcast and this community and everything, because I love juggling a lot of things. I love having a ton of responsibilities and I love staying busy, and I'm just trying to find a little bit more reality in how to manage it all. So it's going to be a really interesting year. I'm going to free up some things so that I have the ability to really push myself and the podcast and everything to the next level. So I hope you guys will help me out and join in with that, and also choose a word for yourselves so that you can really have clarity, because I feel like if we're all over the place, we're like, I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And I'm not even talking about New Year's resolutions. I'm just talking about goals, because we break our lives up into these periods of time into like, well, I'm going to give myself until this month to lose this much weight, or I'm going to give myself to here until I'm making this much money. And that's important. That's important to set timelines for ourselves. But what's more important is trying to do the little things each day that are going to get us closer to the big goals. And sometimes those big goals can't really operate on a timeline. They just can't, because there's so many lessons that we have to learn along the way that get us to the ultimate ending spot. And honestly, if we're being honest, like, there's no ending spot. I am way further now than I thought I would be a year ago. So imagine where I will be a year from now. And I'm not going to limit myself by setting an expectation or setting a goal. I don't know. Does that make sense? Like, I'm still trying to set a goal, but I'm not going to let that inhibit the progress. And that was something I feel like happened last year. The goal got in the way of doing the work. So I know I'm a big ball of confusion right now, but I have a lot of really, really deep-rooted, just heartfelt feelings that I want to share here on the podcast this year, and so many stories I want to share, and just so much learning that I want to happen with you guys and from you. I've gotten incredible response from people who have been able to be more brave and who have been able to be better mothers, and I want to keep that going. So we're going to keep this one short and sweet, and I'm going to be airing another episode very, very soon with a guest, and after that, more and more and more, until we are all caught up on the interviews that I did at the end of last year. And then we're going to start fresh with a whole new format for the podcast. It's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited to implement it. It's going to be a really, really great way to get all of the stuff, all the good information, all the inspiration, a little bit of fun. It's going to be awesome. I just can't wait. So in the meantime, enjoy all these wonderful, just good messages from really, really amazing women, and just enjoy. Enjoy your listening experience. And thank you so much for tuning in and being a regular. Make sure that you've subscribed to the podcast so that you don't miss any episodes. I love knowing that you guys are listening and that you've noticed that we've missed some episodes, that we haven't been on air for like a month. It means so much to me that you guys actually notice. So keep listening, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Have a wonderful year, and remember to push yourself.